Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dear student, we'll meet again here to talk about the example of assessing language skill, especially in this part we'll talk speaking assessment. And in this occasion we'll discuss three types of speaking assessment. The first is responsive speaking assessment. What is assessed in responsive speaking? Usually in these types of speaking assessment, it will assess short responses involving in short conversation, presenting greeting, responding small talk, and answering simple requests or simple question. Then how to conduct responsive speaking assessment? Usually the first will have a question and answer types of assessment. The example of this one, usually the test taker will answer every question provided by the tester. When the tester asks several questions, like for instance, do you have any question for me? And then the test taker will ask question if the tester asking such kind of question. Ask me about my family, or ask me about my family or job or interest and so on. So the test taker will ask question about that kind of thing. And if the tester asking another question, tell me about your hobbies, then the test taker will like to explain about their hobby and so on. This is the test of speaking using question and answer. The second type of responsive speaking assessment is using giving instruction or direction. When you give directions, when you give instruction or directions, then it is tested your responsive. Usually people will ask, the tester will ask, can you tell me the way to certain place, something like that? Then the test taker will explain how to go to that place. This is conducted orally. If it is conducted orally, then this is testing the speaking ability of your student. The third one, using paraphrasing. So there is a certain text, the student should ask to read that one first, after that have to retell using paraphrase, telling the story in the text in different ways, but the content are still the same. That is paraphrasing. Next assessment is using interactive speaking assessment. What is tested in interactive speaking assessment? Usually it is interactive long discourse. So it should be interactive, should be two person or more. They are doing things interactively, you can have a look, the practice and so on. And how to assess that? How to assess using interactive assessment? I think the first you will use interview, second one you will use role play, the third one you will have discussion and conversation, and the fourth one usually you have a games. In interview you'll interview. In doing interview you can have several steps. Like let's say for instance warming up and the level check and then probing, and the last one is winding down. In a warming up you just try to create comfortable situation, and then level check, I think it is the stage where you stimulate. It is the starting to ask the real question in your task. And probing is the state you are real asking question, try to dig your student understanding and to see whether the speaking skill have been shown by your student or not. And the last one, it is the winding down. It is the closing, I think. Yeah, you will close the test, the interview, by winding down that one. Role play, I think you can create kind of scenario, and then your student should play a role in that case. In discussion and conversation, you provide topic, and then you choose one or two students, ask to discuss the topic, and then you observe. If you observe your student in discussing that thing, you will test your student using interactive, and the type of test is called as discussion and conversation. And the last one, game. Usually there's game, certain procedures, you follow step by step, and usually there is some competition, and in the game usually at the end there will be a winner. Better for you to provide some kind of reward for the winner one. It will motivate your student to participate. The last one is extensive speaking. It is the way to assess speaking, long, relative more complex, less interactive discourse. So if it is not interactive, but you like to test it in the long one, I mean the long discourse, then it is called as extensive speaking. And the form of this kind of test, usually this kind of test, this kind of assessment, assessment, is oral presentation or speech. You ask your student to present oral presentation, present something, or deliver a speech. This is the way how to assess your student understanding to present long discourse. It can be conducted also using picture cute storytelling. So there is 10 picture, it is in a row. The story is describing a kind of story from one picture to another in order, and then ask your student to tell the story in the picture. This is called a picture cute storytelling. And then the last one, the third one is retelling a story or new event. So you ask your student to, like a journalist, go to some place to have cover an event. After that, report the event, tell the story what happened. And the last one, extended speaking, it is translation, but long prose. It is a longer one. It can be the whole book. If in an intensive, I think just in center level, but in extensive, it is a longer one. Yeah, this is the types of assessment. I think that's all for the example of assessing language skill. And in this part, we discuss about 3 assessments. The first one is responsive, and this one is interactive, and the last one is extensive. And this all about the speaking assessment. We have discussed all the type of speaking assessment. If you like to assess, you can use this type of assessment. I think that's all for this session. Thank you very much for your kind attention, and we'll meet again maybe later on in another session. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.